Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trap Chat. I am so excited to bring back a part two of the Meeting the Moment, Embracing and Navigating Pivots series. I'm here with a return guest, and it is a special week. Not only for me because we're kicking off part two, but also for him because it is National Library Week this week. So those of you who did not get a chance to see the 2025 episode for Black History Month, this will be your first time seeing Billy Allen, again, a librarian, a storyteller, one of the founders of Three King Visions. He is committed to fostering a love of reading in children. He's also an Air Force veteran, and he has two master's degrees from HBCU.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, and don't forget an animated series with Storytime Adventures for Young People on YouTube does very well. So make sure you check that out too. Hi, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. It's already been a year. Wow.
Yeah, you were on in February 2025.
Time flying by.
I thought it was 6 years ago myself. You're saying it flew by. I feel like it was a very long time ago. But yeah, it was recently. A lot of things have happened during that time.
Yeah, a lot.
For the both of us. So I see you're still leader of the New Cool. I still don't have any merch though.
I got it.
Okay. All right. You know, when we last spoke, you were the librarian inside of a major public library system. Since then, you have stepped away from that role. Now, a lot of people will assume that the work of championing literacy has to happen from inside the library walls. What made you decide you could do more from outside? And then what's the trade-off you're still sitting with?
So, first and foremost, just thank you for having me on your platform again. It's definitely an honor. I would say, my previous role, I was a branch manager of Whitney Library in the library. I would say managing, if you've ever been in management, it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. And a lot of times there's no real training to get you into management. The way you get better in managing, you got to manage. I don't think I've been managing 90% of my career as a librarian. So when I had that moment where I said, okay, I'm going to step away and resign. And, half of me is I've given that library my all. Yeah. You build something special. The type of partnerships, the community, the city of Las Vegas, like that really was a career defining changing moment for me for these 4.5 years, where we talk about, shout out to my mentor, Kelvin Watson, where we did legendary things at the library, from mobile showers, social workers, Queer Eye, story time with Hamilton, but it's the inspiration. So when I got to this point, I'm like, okay, what does my career growth look like? And with my platform, Three King Visions, I've been doing it for 7 years. I'm like, man, I've done all this. I've had all this success doing this part-time or working a full-time job. Mm-hmm. Imagine what I could do if I really bet on myself. I love it. So when I had a conversation with Kelvin, my dad, and this is all real stuff. So if anyone that sees this is like really what happened. And everyone was in full support. I'm like, I need to bet on myself. And I'm not fully out. I'm a librarian forever. I have a master's degree in library science. Yeah. And if the right situation comes upon, I will entertain it. But for now, I've built this business, this brand over 7 years that my calling is to give back beyond the walls of the library. Yeah. So when you talk about the library and the trust, where am I? It's like a seesaw effect because it's almost like breaking up with the girl, like, what I'm saying, this is the best woman I ever had. I'm playing the 90s R&B music. It's like the grieving process. I'm moving on, but I wasn't nervous because the thing was, I've already done it. And the people I talked to, I'm like, I've already been successful with it.
Yep.
So now being a full-time storyteller, a youth advocate, a youth speaker, so being a consultant to libraries.
I love that.
So just expanding my brand, and I really believe in myself. Like, I'm not nervous. It's just now, okay, we're here. And just working on the plan, and I wouldn't have it no other way.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I know you probably think I'm like a stalker or something because as soon as you post something on social media, I'm like, share.
Yeah.
But I love everything you said, and I want to stay there. You just said it, and you let everybody hear you say it. Like, you're not moving, you're not going away from the library. You're just not working in the library. You're expanding and getting to reach even more people. And I do want to go back to what you just mentioned, which was trust. And getting a child to fall in love with reading does require them to trust you first. Black boys in particular, they're often handed reading as a deficit to fix rather than a joy to claim. And how do you build and sustain that trust so that they will know you're not there to correct them?
So I'm gonna answer this on multiple levels. Where right before I resigned in my branch manager role at Whitney Library, we did a teen empowerment summit where that was my signature event where we elevated the lives, elevate their game through career choices, how to interact with the police, social justice, and I'm interacting with teens. And my platform, Leaders of the New Cool, Black excellence goes beyond hip hop and athletics. So when I talk to these teens, I got the same power that I have with the toddlers and the kids because I'm me. I'm visible, the representation where they could connect and see someone that looked like them, not preaching to the choir. I'm like, listen, I made mistakes in life, but look where I am now. I enjoy what I do. So when you talk about trust, I'm attacking it from the teenager perspective because that 14, 15, 16-year-old is going to be 20 real quick. And they need some inspiration. The world needs inspiration. So when you talk about the trust with the kids, my angle is not even an angle, but I'm getting to the parents too, because the parent has to approve of the content. So when they identify, okay, this is a Black man, I hate to say it, like, straight Black man that's reading books, that's doing kids content, that's, this is foreign territory for Black people to do this type of content. And I think the support I've received over the 7 years and almost my 10 years, I'll be a librarian come May, 10 years. People love it because when I was growing up, I never saw a Black male librarian, or someone, when you talk about the prison pipeline issue with young Black boys, when they become adults, they reading at a 4th grade reading level. The love of reading never stops. So like, when I'm reading these books, my daddy doesn't need a cape from Black children's authors. Like 90% of the books I read are from Black children's authors or authors of color.
Yeah.
Because they need to see, it's a game within the game. One, a Black man holding a book, loving reading. You got to see it. If you don't see it, just like me growing up seeing Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I'm seeing it. Okay, I want to be a basketball player. So now they get to see a brother holding a book, being a storyteller, being in the edutainment lane. This is the inspiration that goes beyond the walls of regular literacy, where, if you stay within the confines of the library, you're not going to reach everybody. You got to meet people where they're at, and you have to, one of the dopest things about being a librarian is community engagement. I'm a walking library commercial. I'm always talking about the library. So like when you see myself, Michael Threes, and other librarians that are doing this type of work, we're stepping outside the realm because it's an example for educators, or even if you're not even in libraries, being an advocate, if you really care about what you do, being an advocate outside of the walls of your work. And that's what drives me when the kids see Mr. Billy. I literally just did a story time last week. I'm getting booked. Like, if you're a teacher, an educator, you can book me at 3kingvisions.com. You got to plug it in. But the kids see you, and they're like, hold up. He's reading books to music. And then I'm gonna tell you a story about this story time. A parent found out that I was doing a story time at her daughter's school. She took off of work because she follows me on social media and was like,
Oh,
I want to see this story time in person.
okay.
So that's the power of promoting the love of reading. And I'm truly blessed, but like for Black kids, they need to see us doing this. And I'm trying to do my part because this is bigger than Billy Allen. Like, we need to see more young boys and girls saying, hey, I want to be a librarian or a doctor or anything, but show that love for what you do.
Absolutely. So we know this show is about pivots, and you just gave us a master class on what this pivot has revealed. But a lot of times when people, especially walk away from something or they shift from their, the environment that they're comfortable in. We know you were comfortable at Whitney because you did a lot there, and I think that your legacy will continue. And you never stop shouting out your mentor. You never stop shouting out other librarians. Like, you're always going to be who you are. But what has this chapter taught you so far about which relationships travel with you through your pivots, and then how are you choosing where you're going to invest going forward?
Wow. And that goes into the experience of being a leader where, in my 10 years as a librarian, I've been managing 90% of my career, but you realize you can't put everybody on. You can't. Like, because your name is your brand. This is what I was preaching to the teenagers at my summit. Your name is your brand. You can't help everybody. And also, I would say one of the big pivots is understanding you did the work. I've already done the work. And not everybody's going to agree with your decision, and you don't owe nobody no explanation when you pivot to a change of scenery. I think we live in a society where social media or people that they think they're close to you, everybody wants an explanation, but only person I need to talk to is me and God. And I think that's where I feel so good. And I got a great support system, talking to my dad every day. That's like my best friend, where, like we're going 110% on this. And I think just having those relationships, my currency is my relationships with people in the community. That never stop. I'm a librarian forever, but managing, again, for people that are in management, you're not alone. Like, you're not alone when you deal with the microaggressions, dealing with people smiling in your face as soon as you walk off. They're doing all types of stuff. That builds character. And, when you do decide to take a change, never forget those experiences, because that builds you up. And I think I'm so valuable. And I'm not even like speaking in a negative tone in regards to what happened for me leaving the library. I'm just talking about the reality of what you're going to face as a leader and a business owner. This was all helping me cook up that gumbo on, okay, I got the recipe to be successful beyond the library. And I was already doing it, like I said. So it's like, okay, how many people really get an opportunity to really say, it's on me? It's really on me. And it's no pressure. Like, that's the beauty of it, where, the reality is I was making really great money, like great money, but I never chased the bag. And that's why my blessings have been coming. And this is my purpose.
It absolutely is.
It is.
It is. I told you when I reached out to you, like, I was already like, that's a superstar, and they probably go look at my email and think, who is this crazy lady that thinks she could talk to me? But like, I saw it from the first time I saw it. I was like, that's it. Like, that's somebody. Like, I need to talk to this person. So thank you again for giving me some more of your time. We are going to get into probably the toughest question of this segment, and probably one that is, I get real deep and serious a lot, but this is real deep and serious. So we know that everything that's going on in this country, Pen America, they tracked more than 10,000 book bans in the past year. The titles pulled are disproportionately by Black authors, LGBTQ plus authors, and authors of color. As a Black man, as a veteran, as a librarian with a master's of library science from an HBCU, you sit at an intersection most people in the fight just don't. And that's no disrespect to them, but you are in a unique position. How do you hold institutions, publishers, and yourself accountable to the kids whose books are being taken off the shelves? And what does accountability look like when the system is the thing doing the harm?
So, and this is just a great question of just, I got an answer for all of that because I trusted my work.
Okay.
With the Platform 3 King Visions, where all the books that I've represented are from people of color, from people from the LGBT community, Black, Hispanic, this is why I love spreading the love of literacy. So I'm gonna give you a good example where I can control what I can control. Where in Las Vegas, I created an independent author collection at my library. Now, I started this collection last year. It's a permanent collection. And hopefully they're still doing it. But we've added over 750 books from indie authors because I leveraged my platform, my relationships. Because what's hard is I tell some people when it comes to book banning, if someone comes into my library and says they're offended by a book, we're doing our job because the library represents perspectives of everyone. The library is the only institution that welcome all walks of life without judgment. So if we get into this game of banning books, first of all, whoever's making these decisions are ignorant and do not understand culture, because every library is different. Every school is different. You know why? Because the community is different.
Yeah.
If you don't understand community, 90% of our jobs is serving. So if you get into why is this book in the library, that book ain't for you. It's for someone else. So this is why I always champion the literacy part where, creating Black Author Expos, where these indie authors can come and it's like a players ball. Everybody comes and get to celebrate their work. The Children's Author Expo. I'm thankful that Kelvin supported me, my mentor, the executive director for the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, to support independent authors because a lot of times in most libraries, it's a lot of red tape when it comes into that. I want to get my book in the library. Oh, you got to talk to a collection development team and all this gatekeeping stuff.
Wow.
But in my role, Kelvin always taught me about power. And I had power to make a decision. Again, betting on yourself. And my staff, I'll tell you a story. So, and if this person see it, it is what it is, but I'm just wanting to educate. So, in my youth services department, there was a couple of staff members that were reluctant to reading some of the books because to the parents during story time, because the majority of the books were from Black people reading about natural curly hair, all this stuff. So I said, what's the difference between that book and the other book? Just because it came from a big publisher or the content? They had no answer for me. I said, how come I can do it, but you can't? So, it's holding people accountable. That if you're working in the library and you're supposed to be the advocate for everyone, we represent everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be walking and embracing that. And I stood on business. Like I made it a directive that we will be promoting this.
Okay.
Diverse voices. So many authors came in my library. They were flying in from New York to Florida, to Atlanta, to Las Vegas to see their book on the shelf. This author right here, when I did the hip hop story time with Hamilton, she flew in from North Carolina because she's been a big supporter of me for years because I read her book with Hamilton on stage.
Wow.
So that's the impact. Yeah. Just being seen. So a lot of times we just need a shot. So when you're in a position of power, regardless of libraries, be mindful that you could change someone's life. So when it comes to these book bans, I haven't really experienced a lot of it. A lot of times, a parent, and I'm a children's storyteller, but it's how you deliver the message on why a book is in there. Like I've had parents be like, "Oh my gosh, there's two men holding each other in this book cover." I said, "Well, we do have gay couples that come in and have kids. Maybe that book is for them, or maybe this is time for you to educate your kid on the LGBT community. It's a great book. I've read it. You didn't even know it." They're looking at me like, I'm like, yeah, So stop being so close-minded and expand your horizons when it comes to literacy. And I've been, and I'm always going to fight that battle. No one's going to tell me what I could promote and advocate for when it comes to authors of color and especially Black authors.
Yeah, that's a great segue to my next question. There's an unspoken, maybe just for me, discipline in what you do, because a child who does not develop reading skills early carries that gap for years, and then the feedback loop is long, and then the results show up after it's in someone's classroom or in their home, or they get a note that comes home that says, by the way, your child did not pass all year, and they're going to have to repeat this grade, or they don't meet the requirements for the testing or whatever the case may be. What proactive practices keep you rooted in the mission when you can't see the finish line? So you're not in the home or you're not in the classroom. And what would you tell a parent or teacher who wants to start building that runway like you have for young readers?
First and foremost, if you're a parent, if you're a caregiver, you're an older sibling, that kid needs to see you read. Even if it's 10 minutes a day. Story time ain't just for the kids. It's a family experience. And this is why I do my hip hop story time. Because literally, I never forget this. I did it last week at the story time I was booked at this elementary school, but also I did it at my story time where, this is going to die laughing. So I read a llama book to Juvenile, back that ass up. So it just like when the music came on, I saw the faces of the parents.
All the Gen X parents try to hold themselves.
So the kids don't know what that is.
No.
They know to catch your beat. So I'm reading the book to the instrumental, and it's creating that synergy.
Yeah.
Because it's the nostalgia, right? Where I'm reading KP and Envy Shorty Swing My Way to Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
Okay.
Or Leon Thomas Mutt. Like, you got to use music. And to your point, to the older kids, I've done this hip hop story time for teenagers too. And they said, Mr. Billy, I'm going home to read to some music.
Oh, nice.
So, and I had this conversation. This is so crazy because I literally had a conversation with some of my colleagues several weeks ago. And I may cause some controversy when I say this, but when you're little, you love reading. The parents take you to the library, and then by the time they get to middle school, by the time they get to high school, you hear so many kids say, I hate reading. Why is that? So I say, something ain't working here with how we're promoting reading. Now, it's a multitude of things. Maybe the parents are working. Maybe do they love reading, right? Or are we as a school system in the library thinking outside the box to encourage the love of reading? Where in my library, I will walk up to a group of teens. I'm like, hey, y'all want to do a hip hop story time? They're looking at me. I'll bring out the book, bring out the JBL speaker, and play some the baby, something that they can connect to, and they take turns having fun reading. It's a family experience, and I think we have to think outside the box when it comes to pushing this. And because the love of reading never stops. Think about it, me as a storyteller. I tell people all the time, storytelling, even with my librarian colleagues, it develops your public speaking skills, your confidence, how to talk in front of strangers, working on your vocal projection, your delivery, excuse me, under the weather, how to control the room,
Yeah.
You know, this is what it has developed me as a public speaker now. Imagine, I remember when I was in high school, and I used to think it used to be the funniest shit ever, excuse my language.
We
When
don't do that here. Like, I mean, no, like we don't. Yeah, I cuss all the time. The only reason I don't cuss sometimes is because I know my mother's going to say, "Why did you cuss?" And I'm like, "That's how I talk." But don't worry about it.
so like the funniest thing ever was like when a teacher used to call a student on to read in front of the class. Now that I think about it, because my mom and my dad always bought books I wanted to read. I was a basketball junkie. I was a hip hop head, reading the Source magazine, Vibe, all this stuff. So I never had no problem wanting to read. But imagine if we could emulate that more, right? And there's more access to books than ever. Everyone got a smartphone where you could go to Libby. You know, like it's ways you could create a family experience. And literally, I promote that story time as a family experience every single one of my story times.
Yeah.
So it's a battle, but I'll tell you this. I got a DM from check this out. I got a DM 2 weeks ago, right when I made the announcement of resigning. I got a DM from a student when I was working in Florida. And he said, "Hey, Mr. Billy, I've been following you for the past several years. I never told you this. I don't know if you remember me, but he was like, I want to say you talking to me and my homeboys meant a lot to me. We love reading. We love the library. And I just want to let you know I'm a junior in college now, on my way to get my bachelor's, and I want to become a librarian, potentially."
Wow.
And I like clicked on his picture, and I think I vaguely remember him, but you never know your impact. You know, this is why I could, sometimes you get to that crossroads where you know how it is when you're promoting a brand, you can't get caught up in the numbers. None of that stuff. It's about who sees it. It's about who sees it. And I've cultivated a movement that, we're creating lifelong readers. And I really love that the adults are rocking with my movement, because you can't fake authenticity. You talked about the trust, and like the second question you asked me, you cannot fake it. People know when it comes to getting involved with the youth, people know if you looking like Pee Wee Herman or like, looking like a creep. Like, that's not that person, And I think I've been very transparent with my life. Like on my Cry episode, I talked about the heavy partying, the drinking, getting in trouble with the law, but look where I am now.
Yeah.
And that's how you connect, being vulnerable. And I think all that comes into the pot of gumbo and just spreading the love of reading for Black people and people of color.
Yeah. So we are unfortunately at our last question in the main section. So we are in this moment. People are actively fighting in this country over whether certain people get to see themselves in books at all. What does it mean to you and 3 King visions to meet this moment? And what do you want the kid who finds your work today? And I love the story you just told about the kid who found your work when you were working in Florida. What do you want a kid who finds your work today to still be carrying with them 20 years from now?
Well, so I'll answer the last question first. Representation is everything. When I was growing up, I never saw a Black male librarian. I could count on my hands how many Black teachers I had. I had 4 Black teachers.
No.
I literally could count them. It was 1 in elementary school, 1 in middle school, and 2 in high school. So, for me, they get to see me, like where that access where everybody knows. If you ever worked with me in the library, I talk to everybody. I'm a walking library commercial. So, but it's important to talk to the youth or just the adults, because sometimes just asking them how you doing goes a long way. And I think with my work, where, we redefining what masculinity looks like, because a lot of times people think, you have to be a part of another community to do this type of content. That's not the case. And then let's just keep it real. There is a lot of homophobia in the Black community. And when I read books from all voices, And this is another reason why I did the cry episode too. So you actually get a nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Kelvin was watching it, and I haven't watched I remember it was Queer Eye from the Straight Guy, right?
Yeah.
And
Now it's just Queer Eye.
yes, and when me and my mentor were sitting there chilling, and he got like 4 or 5 emails all at the same time saying, "Hey, Queer Eye's coming to Vegas." So I was like, "All right, Kelvin, I don't know. Let's watch this." So then when we watched it, I said, "Hold on, this is a super positive show." I said, "Let's do this." And also, I wanted to point out when people watch that, you can see a straight black man interact with the LGBT community like it ain't nothing, because it's nothing. Like to this day, Karamo, JVN, and Tan, them my guy, and Jeremiah, them my guy. Me and Karamo text on a regular.
I love it.
JVN. So I think promoting that people need to embrace culture and community goes a long way. Now, when it comes to just the platform, Three King Visions, I mean, the content lives forever. I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I got almost like 1,000 read alouds out there. Like, think about the interviews with you and your platform. You know, like, this stuff lives forever, because you'd be surprised when people need inspiration. And when people come up to me, I mean, literally, ever since the Cry episode came out, it's changed my life. Like, I mean, the visibility. I mean, everywhere I go, it be people coming up to me crying, and like, they just want to give me a hug because people can relate to you. You know, I think a lot of times we, as professionals, we have to keep our guard up, but sometimes those moments of vulnerability is when you have the most impact. And I think now my brand has kind of evolved, because initially I just talked about story time, but now I talk about the community service that I do. Also, I could do clapbacks at administration and government when you're trying to take away funding for libraries, because I am a library advocate. That's what people want to see, right? And even when I took that job as a branch manager at Whitney Library, I never forgot when my supervisor said they're looking for someone to be the face of the community. I took that to heart, and I did it. So when people see you in the grocery store, Mr. Billy, what I'm like, this is community and culture. And I've always been myself throughout my whole career. Not perfect, made a lot of mistakes, but I could publicly talk about my mistakes. You know, and I think when it comes to the kids, when it comes to teenagers, and even young adults, just adults, period, providing inspiration. And that's why I really believe in my slogan, Leaders of the New Cool. Because if you're doing something dope, if you're doing something positive in life, you are leaders of the new cool. And that's just something that I'll be doing Three King Vision until I'm 85 years old. I mean, and this is a little slight flex, but I think I'm the only librarian that LeVar Burton follows. LeVar Burton been following me for 3 years on all my platforms.
I love it.
I'm doing something right. Like,
you're doing a lot right.
You know, so he watching me, liking my post. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. Right?
All right, it's time for the rapid fire. I wish I was going to remember everything you said the last time. Some of these questions are new. Some of them are the same. So hopefully I get some different answers this time.
Let's see.
Okay. Who's a well-known or lesser-known historical or contemporary figure who inspires you and we should learn more about?
Just talked about him, LeVar Burton.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that last time, I don't think.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I would say LeVar Burton and Nas, because Nas is my favorite MC of all time.
Okay.
So, and I think, you know, it happened organically, me creating Three King Visions. And for me to kind of carry on that legacy in my way, but also still promoting the love of reading, like Reading Rainbow, that means a lot to me.
I love it. What is the best piece of career advice you've received you would give your early career self?
Ooh, can I give you two?
Mm-hmm.
You can't put everybody on. You can't. It's a hard lesson to learn, but when you love helping people, it's not a bad thing, but your name, your credibility, it could come and backfire on you.
Yeah.
Because the people that you go to bat for, they're not gonna go to bat for you when ish hit the fan. Never. Never. So, and I would say, show me your friends and I show you your future. My parents, when they watch this, my parents, when they watch this, they know I've been saying this quote since I was like 9. Because I saw this quote literally on the Maury show. I'll never forget it. I don't know what context it was in, but that resonated with me. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I mean, that's why I named my platform 3 King Visions. My best friends, we're 3 kings that we call each other because we're loyal to each other. So when I was coming up with the name of 3 King Visions, I wanted to come up with a name that's loyal to helping kids develop a lifelong love of reading.
Okay. Did a guest say that or did Maury say that?
I won't say a guest. I don't think Maury. It was a guest.
I'm about to out myself as a former Jerry Springer watcher. By the way, I was in high school, so I wasn't an adult. I was in high school. Not that matters. But anyway, I say this all the time to people. Like you said, a guest said something, and they probably didn't even know it was that profound, but I'm sure it's something that people in the South say. I'm from New Jersey.
I'm from North Carolina.
Yes, but they said, this person said, trash belongs at the curb. And I don't know why you keep recycling this bitch. And I say that all the time. Listen. So anytime I'm like, why is this not working? You know why? Because I keep recycling this.
Yeah.
Don't recycle it. So listen, take nuggets from anywhere.
Yeah.
That's some career advice too.
Yeah.
You don't need to recycle every employer. You don't need to recycle every job. You don't need to recycle every coworker. Let it go. Okay. Yep. I did ask you this before. I'm gonna ask you again. If you wrote a book describing your career so far, what would the title be, and when is the book coming out?
So, I have started working on my book.
Yay!
If I could title my life and my career right now, I would say They Can't Stop Me. That would be the title of the book.
Okay.
Because they can't. I've overcome a lot in my life. When I did a lot of reflecting these past couple of weeks, where this is the most I've ever given myself time for myself. When you're in a profession or you're always giving back to people, you're always giving and giving, and you're not showing love to yourself, it will wear down on you at some point. And just having that reset, doing reflection on like, man, you done did this, that, you done did this. Look how many people you've impacted over the years. And it goes back to me just being just perseverance and just overcoming adversity. People say that, but do they hear the journey? Do they hear when you flunked out of college trying to chase all the girls? Then you got to go into the Air Force. You don't fulfill your fulfillment. Then you go back in. Then you get out. You're like, okay, hold up. I'm 25 years old. I'm in Atlanta. I'm trying to date. You fronting like you're a nurse and all this stuff. And it's like, you got to do something with yourself, right? And I go back to school in Missouri, where it's like, oh, I don't know nothing about Missouri, like all these white people. And then it's like the only HBCU there in Jeff City, where that was a pivot moment where I was going to be a nurse, following my mom's footsteps, but my homeboy introduced me to the library.
I love
it. And it's almost like that story. I don't know if you ever heard the story of The Pack with the 4 brothers that were doctors. It's a book. It's a true story. You should look it up. But that's just how me and my homeboys are. We're all 5 different librarians. So, get your bachelor's at 29. I get my MLS at 31. And I'm 41 now. It's like you never know how your life is going to turn out. So, look what I've accomplished with 3 King Visions. Like, I've had naysayers the whole time, and they ain't stopped nothing. Nothing. So that'll be my book, which, we cooking.
Okay. Ooh, what fictional character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
Okay, so I forwarded these questions to my dad last night.
Did he answer it for you?
So he said, Mr. Billy. It because he was saying, so I'm gonna tell you why. So when I was little, my parents asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
I told them I wanted to be a cartoon character. and, and that's kind of like what I'm doing now. And it's like, that's funny how life works out. Because I didn't know I was gonna be a storyteller for kids and be, so I would say that. Yeah, I mean, I grew up on the Wayans Brothers, even though it's not a fictional, but like watching their Living Color and stuff like that, I always felt like I could be a performer, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. Like I'm a storyteller, professional storyteller.
Okay.
So, yeah, my dad said, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you a different answer." He said, "No, you're Mr. Billy." Now, of course, I'm AJ, so that's what I'm known personally as. But like you are doing something like your real life, you almost like a fictional character.
Okay. I love that. I love that. I've not had that answer before, and I love it. Oh, what's your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
So this is interesting. So I kept looking at that question. I'm an R&B dude. So lately, I'm going to my Apple Music right now. Literally, I'm listening to Isaiah Falls, and Sir. I just got put on to Elamin. That's how you say his name. The brother from Germany. And then I got some Brent Fayez, and then some J. Cole.
Okay.
So I got a mixture of everything. So, but primarily it's R&B. I listen to my old school hip hop. It's crazy I'm saying old school, but
no, it is now. We have to let it go. Like, and
I'm
old, and I'm older than you. So, like, when somebody's like, "Oh, that's an oldie," I'm like,
right.
I'm thinking some of these songs not gonna hold up.
right.
Can you imagine? I'm gonna be 80 singing Little Kim. That's
it's music, timeless.
I think my time will have passed at 80, 85, but we'll see. We'll see. I still can't say this word, but I'm gonna do my best. What is your favorite empowering quote?
And I said it earlier in our interview. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. That really resonates with me. I have a close-knit group of friends. One of the things you learn, we talk about just like being a manager or being a leader, you could be cool with everybody, but everybody ain't on your side. You gotta remember, they're friends at work. They're not your friends. Now it might be an anomaly here and there, but it might be an anomaly, but like I think when you surround yourself with like-minded people, it goes a long way. Yeah. And I think my inner circle from my best friends, from I talk about Kelvin like my mentor, but that's like really my brother. Like we family. So like that's a part of my circle where I value that, because loyalty is everything to me, right? So protecting that core of loyalty, it kind of resonates throughout my platform, Three King Visions, because I'm on my purpose of spreading the love of reading and doing it in a non-conventional way. I mean, like, why not? Like we're here and I ain't going nowhere.
Okay. What's one thing you want people to take away from our conversation?
Never stop believing. Never stop believing, and bet on yourself. The times when you feel like you can't do it, them the times God's testing you. Whatever religion that you're believing in, those times. That's why I felt so confident leaving my previous role. I'm here. God put me here. And when I told my friends and my family what I was doing, everybody was like, yeah, it's time. But it only starts with you. And I'm very prayerful. I have conversations with myself, and you got to stay ready, so you got to get ready. And that's just how I've been living it now. It's new territory, but it ain't, because I've been doing it. Now it's like, it's time to get to it, and it's fun. This is a new journey in my career. And again, like I said, I'm not leaving libraries entirely. I mean, if I see a great opportunity, I probably will take it. It depends. But I'm focusing on me. This is all about Billy Allen. This is about AJ. And I think most people probably don't have those opportunities to control their career. I'm literally in control of my career. I've accomplished so much. I got receipts. Like you can Google or you can look up all the stuff I've done for my community, all the stuff I've done in the library, where my platform coincides. So that's when I feel good. That fills my cup. And we just getting started.
That is perfect. Now, before I let you go, shout out any of your upcoming projects or initiatives or anything you want us to be on the lookout for. Tell people how they can get in touch with you. I see you have your at Three Kings Visions on there, but drop all your information so folks can start following you, subscribing, supporting.
So once again, you can follow me on all social media platforms, Three King Visions. We literally got almost 33,000 followers on Instagram. TikTok has been blowing up. Like we're over 13,000 on TikTok, 11,000 on Threads. Support the YouTube channel. I'll be focused on YouTube a lot more. Mr. Billy, the Librarian. Subscribe to that. I need everyone's support. Also, if you are an educator or you're a school leader and you want to book me, or you're a library leader and you want to book me to come to your story to do a hip hop story time, go to threekingvisions.com. I do virtual story times as well. So if you can't have me in person, you can have me as a virtual storyteller as well. If you're an author and you want me to read your book and feature your book on my platform, shoot me a DM and go to threekingvisions.com. If you want to cop this fire merch, leaders of the new cool merch, go to threekingvisions.com. I got a major announcement coming soon.
Woo!
Like crazy.
Okay.
Like crazy. If you've seen some of my posts, you might pick up and understand what I'm putting down. But I will say this, just to continue to support libraries and librarians throughout the country. It's National Library Week. We do a lot of hard work. I think people think libraries are about books. We're social workers. We protect the community. We make sure it's a safe space. And I'm just very appreciative to love what I do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Billy, for coming through again and sharing all your wisdom with the Trap Chat audience. And thank the audience for staying with us. And please come back for the next episode of Meeting the Moment, Embracing and Navigating Pivots, Part 2. We got a lot lined up. And if you don't have one, go get a library card. Thanks, everyone.